Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back for the TWC Show this week. It is just I, the Wrestling Classic, and Daniel from the Dropkick podcast. I hope everyone is doing all right. There is a whole lot to talk about, considering we've had SummerSlam, NXT Takeover, Dynamite, Raw, SmackDown. It's been a really long week of wrestling. There's a lot of things I've already touched base on my Instagram page, the Wrestling Classic, as the week has gone by, because I felt like this would have been a long wait from SummerSlam. We considered doing a SummerSlam recap show. We just never did it. But how you doing, Daniel? What's going on?
I'm good, bro. Thank you for having me on the show. As you said, it's been a long week, but how can we also forget that we interviewed Danial's Page, one of the greatest of all time.
And I knocked out 2 interviews this past week as well. We got Danial's Page come up in mid-September. We had we did Danial's Page together, but I also interviewed Arya Daivari.
Really good interview, by the way.
Conversation that's gonna come out a little bit earlier in September because he's a free agent again, starting September 23rd. So I want to get his story and everything that he's all about right now out before he hits the independent scene and the wrestling scene again once his 90-day compete clause is complete. But yeah.
He's a stand-up dude. I watched it. Really good interview. I hope he does well for himself because I know his brother did, pretty good for himself back in the day. But one hell of a dude,
Yeah, and I think we talked about it on there, but there was some sort of obviously there was a few guys like Mustafa Ali and like Cedric Alexander and others that broke out of that 205 category and got to go to the main roster and stuff. But now when you think about it, like, where really is Cedric? Where is Mustafa? Like, they try things with them, but they don't really get that major push. Yeah. But looking at the bigger picture, like, there was a little bit of a glass ceiling for that cruiserweight division that they all hired for 205 Live, and it almost seems like, in my opinion, I kind of brought it up on that in that interview, which you guys will see in about a week's time, is like, I kind of feel like the 205 cruiserweight division thing has run its course now. As of most recently, I think like people like yesterday, someone was like, "Oh, there's women wrestling on 205 Live." It's called 205 Live still, but it's like not 205 Live anymore.
Yeah, it's not strictly 205 Live. It's just kind of like, oh, we have the show, just go wrestle a few matches, see how you do. But like, I agree 100%. And with new changes, speaking of new changes, the NXT logo has been changed, and I know a lot of people have their opinions on it. Personally, I think, like, I miss the gold and yellow, or gold and black, I should say, logo. I think that to me was NXT. That to me was the stepping stone, and to the main roster. But like, I don't, we'll see how it plays out. I don't want to judge too hard already.
That also happened on during SummerSlam weekend. Was Nick Khan did an interview with Ariel Helwani for BT Sports, where he discussed a lot of how he started working with the WWE last summer when he first met Triple H at Triple H's 50th birthday party, the changes they're trying to make, the things they're trying to implement, the day one event that's taking place on January 1st in Atlanta, like doing an event on New Year's Day, or like trying to do exclusive merch at the arenas that you can only buy at the arenas initially, and then obviously people will resell them and stuff, but they're not going to be sold on like WWE shop and whatnot. And another one of the big things was looking at NXT and rebranding it and focusing less on independent talent and creating their own talent from the ground up. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means like taking athletes and bodybuilders and not trying to make them professional wrestling talent. I don't know if that means they're never going to reach out to independent talent. I don't think that's what he meant. I just think he meant right now it seems like it's majority former independent talent that made their, perfected their craft on the independent scene. And he kind of was like, we have a lot of good independent talent already implemented in our system, which they do. Because if you look, like, there's Kyle O'Reilly, there's Keith Lee, there's Karrion Kross, there's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And these are all guys that, like, Seth Rollins, these are all guys that killed it on the independent sector. So they do have a good core of former independent talent.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're looking to do now, but looking for bigger guys and looking for...
I feel like, in a way, we're kind of going backwards. Like, we're going backwards, and it's just like, it goes back to the whole, I don't like to bring this up, I don't like to be that guy, but it goes back to the whole CM Punk promo. Like, what does a wrestler look like in the year of 2025? Let's just say, big jacked up guy, not someone who is 5'10", can't look like he can't be world champion, can't break out of that mold. Like, what about guys who are on the rising scene? Like, what about guys like myself who want to get into the business? You know what I mean? It's weird. It's really weird.
I heard Arya say this on his interview with Renee Paquette, Oral Sessions, where he was like, it is weird though. Like, you wouldn't want the guys who have been out here
Who qualify for the job?
qualified that have actually been like working towards this job. Like, they put in all
Mm-hmm.
time and effort to be here. You want guys that don't even really want to be here.
Yeah.
Don't really even know much about this business, but you want them instead because you can mold them the way you want them to be, which is weird. As for the logo, it does look cartoony. It does look Nickelodeon. It does look Disney. I made my jokes about maybe NXT season start airing on like the Disney network or something, but like I'm gonna remain optimistic. I'm not against change. Is it really Disney Channel? If you're Canadian, Family Channel-esque, yes. Does it give me very like Saturday morning vibes? 110%. Like eating my oatmeal like I am right now with cereal. If you're a kid,
Fuck, I still got pancakes, bro. Would you ever have pancakes with Jeff Jarrett?
I don't want to trash, bro. But, I'm gonna remain optimistic. I hope, like, because there was still a shitload of talent on NXT, and there's still a shitload of really good people on that show that I want to remain optimistic. Are they going to change NXT UK too? I don't know. I feel like Nick Khan's not aware that NXT UK is a thing right now. But and I'm not even going to blame Nick Khan, because even Nick Khan said in his interview, like, a lot of it is a collaborative decision. Even like when we're making the decisions of who we need to let go, and who, we're not looking at what's like, we're looking in the future, blah 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 blah, whatever the corporate political talk was. But I strongly believe that that there's still a lot of talent there, and maybe it can still be good even though it looks so cartoony and stuff.
No, I think, you know what? I agree, bro, like 100%. Because, like, why would you jump on the bandwagon? Like, oh, NXT's ruined. I don't think it's ruined. I just think, like, they're just testing the waters to see, like, yo, with this. And, good for them. Not a lot.
Did you watch Takeover?
When was that?
Okay, so you didn't. It was on Sunday. I didn't watch it either, but I watched 3 matches on that show. I watched Raquel and Dakota, so I'm going to talk about that really quickly.
Oh yeah, I didn't like the ending to that. I don't know why they did that.
I wanted Dakota to win.
Me too.
And then when Dakota lost, I was okay with it, but then they followed up with it on NXT with Kaylee Ray from NXT UK confronting Raquel, make me feel like, is Dakota getting called up to the main roster, or like, is she going to get a rematch? And there's been many great women on the main roster who are very successful that never won the NXT Women's Championship. Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, like, they've all had a lot of success on the main roster, never won the NXT Women's Championship, which is it's totally okay. But that being said, I really feel like Dakota earned the opportunity to win that title, and I feel like I don't know what they really see in Raquel that they like, because I don't get it. I'm gonna be straight up, like, I get it, but I got it when they first put the belt on her, but like, I don't get like the main appeal of keeping the belt on her.
I think it goes back to the whole conversation we always have. Like, some people need the world title to stay relevant in a sense. I'm not saying she's irrelevant, but it's just like to be a household featured name and be like, oh, Raquel's on the show. You know what I mean? And some people like Dakota Kai who are still really important on the show without the belt.
We're gonna get like commercials for the new NXT where it's like, hey, you're watching the NXT.
I saw that shit on Twitter. That's why it's like dying. It's like, hey, I'm Triple H, and you're watching NXT.
I could totally see Dakota Kai doing that. I also watched Ilya Dragunov versus Walter.
And he beat Walter.
And he beat Walter. Walter was a champion for like over 1,000 days. Don't get me wrong. I know that NXT UK was actually shut down for the most part of the pandemic, unlike the rest of the WWE programming. But that was a really long reign, and nobody's really beaten Walter, and Ilya did, which is a cool story because they faced each other before in a banger.
Yeah,
and it seemed like the payoff from that. But
I feel like that was Triple H's decision. Like, I could just tell, like, his fingerprints were all over that one. He really likes to give his talent what they deserve.
And then lastly, the only other match I watched was Joe and Karrion Kross, which I can't sit and tell you I really paid a whole bunch of attention to it, but I think we all kind of knew what the outcome was going to be with Kross on Raw now, that Joe was going to take that belt. Pulled out the Muscle Buster. I feel like we haven't seen him do that for a very long time. Of course, like, that was the move that retired TJ Wilson, aka Tyson Kidd, unfortunately. I think he hasn't really used it ever since then, but I understand the whole concept of like, well, Karrion Kross has been unbeatable What are we going to do to beat Karrion Kross and nobody else? What does he have in his arsenal? Well, does the Muscle Buster. If we can get away with it one time, this would be the time to pull the trigger on it. Karrion Kross on NXT has been a dominant, strong, intimidating figure.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this fucking outfit on Monday Night Raw.
Yo, I didn't know who that was until like the Titantron thing came up. You know how it says Cross or something like that? I was like, that's Cross.
The man still doesn't have Scarlett with him. And now I know that he wore trunks that were kind of like gladiator-esque, like that was.
No,
I knew that
he looked like a male stripper, dude.
No, but I knew that he wore trunks that like had little gladiator thingies. But now, like the whole gladiator outfit was unnecessary. The helmet,
100%.
the suspenders. It's taken it too far into my mind.
He looks like one of the Demolition guys.
Whether it's Demolition, whether it's Farouk Assad, whether it's the character from the WWE NWO World Tour Revenge game, it looks silly, and they do this to people from NXT. They did to Keith Lee, where they put him in like that skirt and like a shirt on him, and like they don't
similar, right?
Keep the main event guys that were like killing it on NXT the way they looked the same way. And don't get me wrong, there's some people that have been able to somewhat stay the same, such as like a Damian Priest, but like we've seen a lot of main event guys on NXT come up to the main roster and get repackaged in this weird way. It just doesn't work. And then there's rumors that like, oh, Scarlett's not cleared to compete, that's why she's not with him. But like, she doesn't need to compete. She's a manager. Is Paul Heyman cleared? Like, I don't understand. Like,
I think I can kind of see the writing on the wall, no pun intended, but like with Karrion Kross, like the way they're booking him, I don't think he's gonna be there any longer, in my opinion. And I say that because with everything that's happened recently, the releases, the budget cuts, like all that, I just don't see him any longer in the company. And it sucks because he's hell of a talent, don't get me wrong. You know, his promos were amazing in NXT, but it's just like, you know, sometimes you can't force the outcome you want, and that's okay.
I think if Karrion Kross wasn't the NXT champion at the point they called him up, like this is probably how he would have came up initially, but he lost the belt and now they repackaged him and kind of re-debuted him with this new look.
Wait, who did he face on Raw? Was it Jeff Hardy?
Maybe, I don't remember. But because I think all we kept thinking was just like, this guy looks ridiculous. That's like I think
it was Jeff Hardy, dude. No, wait, Jeff wasn't even on.
Let me see here.
I'm curious now.
It wasn't Ricochet, was it? Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this look. I don't know how I feel about everything that's going on. I don't know who he faced. I can't. They don't even have pictures of who he faced. They're just pictures of his outfit because that's what we're doing now.
Oh, Ricochet via submission.
It was Ricochet. Well, hopefully, like, you know, bad re-debut first impression. Maybe things will work out for the better in the long run. Maybe they'll next week lose the suspenders and eventually lose the helmet. Like maybe it's a slow build to reinventing him. But as of right now, I'm not with it. Let's talk SummerSlam, and then we'll talk AEW. I don't think this is going to be a super long episode this week, guys, but let's talk SummerSlam really quickly. Of course, CM Punk came last week, and we recorded the episode last week right after CM Punk came back. Saturday today. So we had a full week of wrestling, and we had a week after CM Punk's been back. I think WWE kind of had it planned, but I also think part of it was also a reaction to Punk's return. We had a couple of big returns at SummerSlam, and that was Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar. For me, I said this a few times on my page and stuff. Let's talk about the whole Becky Lynch situation first. First things first, I know there was rumors and like talk that Sasha might not have been there because they weren't booked for the live shows and something was going on. Like obviously Sasha didn't appear on the last SmackDown prior to SummerSlam. And I just didn't like the fact that with that already known, and I get them wanting to maybe do a surprise, that they all the way up to the ring bell where Sasha is supposed to make an entrance, they made the people believe that Sasha was going to show up. I know there are smart fans out there and people that were in the loop that kind of were like, they're in Vegas were like, no, like we had the heads up that Sasha wasn't going to be there. But that's because they know people, right? But for regular fans, nobody had a clue. So to build it up all the way to the point where we thought Sasha was going to fight Bianca still, only to swerve us with some shit. Like if I was there live, and because I did consider maybe going there last minute, but obviously I found out that I needed a COVID test 72 hours before, so it wasn't gonna happen. But I would have been pissed if Sasha never showed up. And Becky wouldn't have fixed that for me because as much as I like Becky, and I really do like Becky Lynch, I am a Becky Lynch fan. I don't love Becky. And when it came to fucking Becky Lynch's run right before she left, I was, and I know it's not Becky Lynch's fault. It's the company and the writers and the people that make the decisions fault. But Becky started getting really annoying to me because we said it 1,000,001 times. We prefer it when Becky's chasing the title than when she's the champion. And when she was the champion, she was becoming like Cena, and she was just beating everybody. She beat Sasha, she beat Shayna, she was just beating everyone, and it was getting annoying to the point where it's like, oh, they're really trying to shove Becky down our throats now, make her like that person. So it made me kind of dislike Becky a little bit. So her returning did not make me pop maybe the same way it made everyone else pop. I thought it was cool, but I wasn't like, oh my god, it's Becky Lynch, I'm so excited, let's go. I would have still been pissed that Sasha didn't show up. That being said, I hope Sasha Banks is okay. I hope she's well. I don't know what the issue is. We haven't really heard anything about it. We know that she likes to keep things really private majority of the time, and that's cool. I mean, Keith Lee, when he was out for a bit, we didn't know what it was, and everybody had so many different things that they speculated, and then finally he released a video and let us know that it was like heart and breathing and health issues, which was like, he didn't even need to let us know that, but it's like, wow, a lot of the shit people were speculating wasn't even true. So like, I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I'm just going to say I hope that Sasha's fine. Them bringing out Carmella, smart, because they took the fans on a roller coaster ride, and I'm never going to complain about seeing Carmella. Gorgeous woman. So she came out there. She gets in the ring. We think we're getting Carmella and Bianca. In that moment, I kind of thought, I'm like, you could get away with doing like a Carmella, Bianca, Zelina triple threat match just to give the fans something if they really had to. Because, you know, Bianca did beat both them the SmackDown prior to SummerSlam. But it's like you could just made them a triple threat match to replace Sasha. But then Becky's music hits. Dope. Okay, good moment. You made the fans pissed at Sasha out there. Then you pissed them off even more by bringing Carmella out, who Bianca's already beat like 4 or 5 times in the past 5-6 months. And then you bring Becky out to get the fans back up. I'm all for it. I said this on my page. I was expecting Bianca to lose the belt to Sasha anyways. I wanted that. So I'm not mad that Bianca lost the belt. I was just mad that they hyped it up. Becky grabbed the mic. Let's blow the roof off this place. Bianca's just hopping around, getting hyped for the match. She's ready to go. One punch, a weird rock bottom, 1, 2, 3 in like 26 seconds. I know WWE loves doing those like big surprise, like, oh my god, they have like Brock Goldberg beat Brock and unexpectedly out of nowhere type of situations. But Bianca still really new, and that doesn't really help her.
I think like it goes back like when that moment happened. I remember like my friends and I were in the same room and we're like, this just reminds me of when Kofi got squashed by Brock Lesnar in like what 14 seconds or something, right? He threw the trouble in paradise and then went back into that 5, and that was it. And it sucks because
Bianca got any offense, and I said that like I'm not mad that it was a short match and Bianca lost, but if they did like 4 to 5 minutes of back and forth and then Bianca lost,
like a 10-minute match too, yo.
Not even just like if they wanted to make it seem like, because you could always run with the I wasn't prepared for Becky. I've never wrestled Becky before. I was prepared for Sasha. And then you got me mentally confused, making me think I was going to beat Carmella again. And then Becky came out there. And you know what? She got the better of me really quickly. She probably studied me and knew my weaknesses. That was a story there because it took 5 to 6 minutes. But when you do it in 26 seconds, it was just kind of like, it was like a big fuck you.
Yeah.
Becky's back. We're putting the belt back in her. And listen, I'm happy Charlotte's a champion again because I wasn't with the whole Nikki Ash thing. I think the Rhea needs time to reestablish herself, and oddly enough, it seems like they're doing some weird Rhea Ripley Nikki Ash tag team now, which I hope Rhea doesn't become some sort of superhero. But
gives me Team Hell No vibes.
Yeah, but it does give Team Hell No vibes,
right?
But I went the rest of the week being like, well, Becky can't be the babyface now because like I think it's a really good time to turn Bianca heel because I feel like the fans aren't not gonna not cheer Becky. I think Becky, outside of what I think, a lot of people really did jump on the Becky bandwagon, and they really like Becky. So they're not gonna boo Becky, and we saw that on SmackDown.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's hard because Becky's really over, right? And like, I don't know if those cheers were piped in or not, but like, it's just here's one thing. I want to say this right now. That promo that she cut word for word scripted by the one and only Conor McGregor.
It wasn't word for word, but it was very similar.
It was so similar, dude. I was just like, like I get that she wants to be like the female Conor McGregor, and that's cool. But like, come on, like you're making it too obvious here, But I don't know.
Yeah, and then Becky showed very heelish, like a heelish attitude on SmackDown, where she didn't even want to wrestle Bianca that night. She's like, nope, not tonight, and like was kind of like, I'm not going to apologize for anything. The problem with that is that it goes back to why we used to sometimes be like, oh, Becky reminds us of Stone Cold a little bit, not because she's like Stone Cold, it's because Stone Cold is always meant to be a heel, but the fans liked it. So when Becky's a dick, the fans like it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's hard to make her a heel. When she's being cocky and arrogant, we fuck with it. So that's a fucking problem. So it's like, I don't think you can turn her heel, but you can definitely turn Bianca heel.
Yeah.
What really stresses me out, though, is like what happens when Sasha comes back now. Because I was personally really looking forward to Sasha Bianca, too.
Sasha goes to Raw, then, right?
I feel like Fox likes Sasha. They've used her a lot in commercials.
Bro, SmackDown is stacked, though. They don't need Sasha.
I don't think Becky needs to stay there, to be honest. But maybe with Becky there, they're okay losing Sasha. I do think Carmella's going to Raw. Maybe Bianca and the Street Profits go to Raw. Because listen, outside of Bianca having a really good title run, decent title run, being pushed, worked out a lot better than I think Raquel or Rhea worked out. I don't think she reached the level that they thought she was going to reach in popularity.
Yeah, I'd say so. But I think
but she wasn't Becky or Sasha or like one of the Four Horsewomen or Alexa Bliss. Like she didn't reach that level of popularity. The fact that we're back at the beginning where Charlotte's the Raw Women's Champion and Becky's the SmackDown Women's Champion, exactly 2016.
It's cool. I'm not gonna lie.
It's cool, but it's like they tried some stuff and now they're resetting.
I think it's because of COVID, dude. A lot of things have been affected by COVID, so I think they kind of have to resurface, rebrand a lot of cool shit, and we'll see what happens. But SummerSlam was really underwhelming in my opinion. Like
Edge's entrance was cool.
Edge's entrance was cool. Don't get me wrong, and the match was. People were saying it was so good. I didn't like. Bro,
so, okay, I don't think
it was okay. It was okay.
I'm not gonna sit here and say it was a bad match. It was a good match.
It was not a bad match. No.
I just think everything up to it was okay. So they opened the show great because Rated RKO won the tag belts, and that was fun, and that was like a happy moment. Like they won the tag belts, and we all wanted. Everything that kind of followed it sucked to an extent. That when we got to Edge and Seth, it was the best match on the card up to that point.
100%, and I think that entrance really set the tone of the match, and it was cool. And I found it weird how Edge won. I wanted Edge to win. I remember I predicted Edge to win, but the way he beat him, I was like, a submission? That's not even his own move. He could have done a sharpshooter, which would have been cooler. But I get it. Edge goes over. Seth maybe goes to Raw, or I think Edge got moved to Raw secretly. So
when it was Edge was SmackDown this week, and then Seth got up on one Edge. I think they're gonna do one more match maybe, and then when the shakeup happens, one of them's being drafted to Raw because. Edge, Seth was doing that whole losing his mind, smiling, creepy, good for you, Edge. Congratulations. That weird, funny, he's trying to be.
He wants to kill him.
But he wants to kill him.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get one more Edge Seth at Extreme Rules. And I think Edge needed the win. And I believe either you said it or Devin said it last week that Edge just really hasn't really won anything in a very long time. Since the Rumble, he hasn't won a match. Yes, he's won matches on SmackDown stuff, but he hasn't won any of his big pay-per-view matches.
Yeah.
And he needs a W. And I think that was his W. Now he could lose to Seth and get drafted to Raw, and it's cool.
100%.
I am very happy. I think we should all take a moment and have a moment of joy and happiness that John Cena is now gone from the WWE. The summer of Cena is over. He is not a 17-time world champion. He's not going to be a 17 world champion. I do expect him to be back around WrestleMania. So Justin will be back around WrestleMania. And Finn kind of hinted it, and I'm kind of down with it. If it is Finn versus Cena at WrestleMania for no title, I fuck with that. And hopefully Cena comes back a little different. But thank you for coming. It was enjoyable.
I'm not gonna lie.
It was a cool shirt you wore at SummerSlam. And you did your job. You lost, and you went out gracefully as a loser.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to see Cena to win just because he looked like Dr. He reminded me of my child. The way he just looked, he looked younger, and
He
it was
wore a
like,
black T-shirt. That's all that he did. He wore a black.
no,
He's been
bro,
wearing weird colors for all the weird years when he went PG, but he wore a black T-shirt like it was
yeah.
2005 again.
And it was okay. You can't lie. His entrance was cool with all the old titles and like the new ones. Like it just like it was so reminiscent. You know what I mean? Like it was cool.
What do you mean?
So like when you know how his time Sean says like you can't see me hustle loyalty
Yeah.
respect. Except this time around, it was like some special Titantron. It had all the old WWE titles, like the Spinner, the World, the Undisputed, and had the dates under it. So when he won the titles,
I knew that was on the back of his shirt. I didn't focus on the time.
it was so fucking cool.
And then again,
it
fuck John Cena, so who cares?
I was pretty hyped. I was like, oh, this match.
The match was very similar to their match at No Mercy in 2017. Like very similar.
Yeah.
Like almost verbatim the same match in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. And I know people were drawn into it. I thought I was gonna sit there and be like, fuck, like there's a chance Cena's gonna win, but for some reason, there was no part of me that thought Cena was gonna win.
I thought at one point
every AA, the AF, I'm like, he's not gonna win. It's just, I don't like. I thought I was gonna watch him be on the edge of my seat, like fuck him. I don't know what it was, but watching like, oh, then he's leaving.
Mm. And like, I'm not gonna cap, dude. Like the match is pretty slow. It was okay. Like it wasn't the greatest match, but like, when Roman does like the ooh-ah thing, and I was like, he's not gonna hit the spear and win, right? Like that's too obvious. And he does.
It took him one spear to beat Cena,
which was good because
he did his job. He made Roman look strong, and he left.
Are you happy?
I appreciate he did that. Good for you.
Are you happy that he's gone now?
I'm fucking ecstatic. You don't have to hear those same trashy promo. Like, and honestly, everything he did, now looking back at it, like, wasn't that great.
What? Like,
face-offs of Roman didn't feel the same way they did in 2017.
I feel like this John Cena is just playing movie John Cena. It's like a thing I talked about, right? When The Rock comes back, it feels like he's playing Dwayne from the movies, and it's like it's not like the swag's not there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
He knew he wasn't going to stick around, so it wasn't that type of fire. Because there was a point where I think Cena knew he had to test the guys that were up and coming, because he always had this theory that he hasn't seen him anyone that could do what he does yet, and that's why he's not stepping away. But now he knows he stepped away, so he's like, I gotta make these guys look good. I gotta make, because
it's kind of sad
about the Roman promo. I'm like, no matter what he was like the when you dissed Roman in 2017, he was literally trying to diss Roman without really giving Roman a ball.
Call him trash, bro.
But this time around, he was like actually putting Roman over.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, okay, I see you dissing, but you're also like trying to make, which is how you're supposed to do it regularly. So it was a different Cena. But that being said, the Beast comes out at the end and confronts Roman Reigns, and they back out and leave the ring. And now my theory is that we're going to get Goldberg Lashley 2 at Saudi Arabia in October, and we're going to get Reigns and Brock at Saudi Arabia in October. And I think that's why these guys came back, Goldberg and Lesnar. And obviously, Goldberg's not just going to let Damian Priest get in the title picture after Bobby Lashley, put his kid in a full Nelson hurt lock or whatever.
That was such a cool moment. I was like,
you wanted that real bad. I know that you probably popped because that was something you were asking for. And then, I was down with it too. I'm like, fuck them kids, right? And then basically, like, Brock looks sick. I dig the ponytail. I dig the look. I'm glad he came back this way. I love the drama that we're getting on How is SmackDown so much of a better show than Raw?
It doesn't feel like it's WWE. It feels like it's his own little thing. You know what I mean?
Like the whole the thread that they played throughout the entire episode of, can we trust Heyman or not? Did Heyman know Brock was going to be here? Heyman's locked out of the locker room. Oh, the Usos confront Heyman. Like, hey, what did you know? And then Roman be like, no, man. Like, we're so cool. Don't worry about it. Like, you are family. Come out there with us. Like, this thread of, like, can we trust Heyman or can we not trust Heyman? Like,
that's cool.
Fuck with it. And I want to tune in next week. Are we going to discover that Heyman did know Brock was coming? Is Heyman going to turn on the Bloodline? He's on the T-shirt. Or is Heyman going to side with Roman against Brock? Is this going to be a custody of Paul Heyman match? Like the jokes everyone's been making online. Is Heyman going to be extended above the ring in a shark cage? Like, what is going to happen with Paul Heyman, the Bloodline, and Brock Lesnar? Because now he's in a weird place. And is Brock here for a longer period of time? Or is Brock here for the Saudi payday and dipping too? Mm-hmm. Is Roman just running through Legends to build Roman stock before he gets to Mania or The Rock or whatever happens next? And Is Finn just filler again? Like he was filler for the Cena situation? Because
it sucks because
to be taken seriously, and the fact that he's not wanting the match at Extreme Rules and he wants it next week just shows that like they're using Finn as like this pawn. Where it's like we could do Finn and Roman, but we got Brock Lesnar. We could do Finn and Roman, but we got John Cena. We could do Finn and Roman, but we got like blah 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 blah. It's
but
like, give us Finn and Roman.
No, bro. But I feel like I was going through Twitter last night, right? And like I was like checking through the segment and stuff, and like people hated that Balor came out. They're like fuck Balor and shit. Like we wanted to see Brock, and I feel like they're setting themselves up for failure.
Well, that being said, of course you'd want to see Brock because
100%. But it's like
story was is Heyman with Brock or Roman, but you need like a slow burn. You need to wait. We need
no exactly. But I feel like they're setting Finn up in this position where it's like people are gonna be disappointed because it's like that's not who he is. Finn Balor is one hell of a wrestler, one of a talent. And you know what I mean? And it sucks that he's been given these cards and now he has to deal with them. And you know, I don't know.
AEW is giving us CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and potentially Adam Cole.
I think he's going.
The WWE is giving us the same old Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. As much as I like seeing Brock,
I think Adam Cole's really going.
We've been putting over since. I think Adam Cole's going to. The fact that he didn't show up on SmackDown, I think everyone either thought Adam Cole was going to interrupt Roman, which would have been a moment, or he was going to be like that surprise opponent for Dominic, which ended up being Sami Zayn.
Thank God, because you wouldn't want Adam Cole's debut against like
Dominic Mysterio to help the Dominic Rey Mysterio feud.
Yeah, like why would you want that?
We never answered the question of who do you think is the heel? Going to be the heel in the situation, Becky or Bianca?
I think your point was like pretty spot on. Like Bianca should be the heel. Like you can't. Becky's so over to the point where it's like, you know, I don't think you can't like boo her. And with the merge and everything, bro, like I think Bianca needs to turn heel.
I'm with you. I fucking love Rated RK, bro. I just want to throw that out there to you. Like I watch Raw. Raw fucking is boring as fuck.
No. Oh, you remember what happened on Raw? You remember what happened on Raw?
There's so much good shit happening on Raw. There's so much good talent on Raw, but something about it still makes it boring. Like you got the Miz, you got the Morrison who split up this week.
Bro, I was so fucking angry.
Like that.
They got me.
You got Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre and someone else was in the title picture this week. I forget who it was. Sheamus. Like you have all this stuff happening. Like they're stacked with talent, but it still comes out. Like you have AJ Styles and Randy Orton there. AJ fucking Styles and Randy Orton, but for some reason it still feels underwhelming. That show. I don't know what it is. It's like are the same people. If Bruce Pritchard is overseeing both Raw and SmackDown, how is one show so much better than the other?
Oh, wow. Look what just happened.
What?
So someone confirmed that JR will be stepping out of his role as a full-time announcer.
As a commentator?
Yes.
I believe that.
He's expected to.
I've been saying that for a bit. I feel like he doesn't feel that motivated on the commentary desk. He doesn't really vibe with this style of professional wrestling that we get on AEW, like Super Kick Lucha Bros and death matches and all that stuff. I think he's great in the role of doing the backstage interviews. He's going to be great in the role of dealing with the talent backstage and being that person and helping the announce team. But you have Taz, you have Excalibur, you have Tony Schiavone. Now Jericho might lose to MJF and be a full-time commentator or some bullshit like that. You have Mark Henry, you have the Big Show. You have all these people that can do commentary. You can still utilize Jim Ross. I mean, like Tony Schiavone's on the commentary desk, in the ring doing interviews, backstage doing interviews. Like that guy's all over the fucking place.
No, Tony's the man. I love Tony.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Tony's sick.
I'm quite excited this past week, being like, yo, like it was like such an honor to hear this man, a voice of my childhood, introduce me. Like I never thought that would happen. Like Tony.
That's so cool. He watched Nitro as a kid. You know.
And like Schiavone only worked with the WWE in 1990. He never worked there after WCW post 2001. So like he never had that experience with Tony Schiavone, and that is fucking cool.
That's so cool.
We'll get to AEW and Punk in a second, but the Miz and Morrison, that's a big deal. They're finally splitting up. I didn't like the fact that they're having the Miz and Morrison match this week on Raw. I thought they'd build it to Extreme Rules. Maybe there'll be some shenanigans when the match doesn't actually happen, or Miz gets himself DQ'd to like not wrestle with Morrison. But we saw it coming as the weeks were going on, Miz faking the injury and all that, but I need Morrison to have a proper singles run. I'm scared he won't still because the roster's I mean, we have Jeff Harvey on main event, so who knows? But hopefully Morrison gets a proper singles run after this breakup. Yeah,
100% agree. Morrison's super talented, and I just hope they don't throw him in like the 24/7 title picture with Reginald. Can you imagine both of them doing parkour or some shit?
I have no idea. The other thing I want to talk about with SmackDown is I am hyped that Liv Morgan's back on TV and she's in the title picture, and she delivered once again. All the training she's been doing with Natty and TJ and everyone down there is like she's improving every time we see her. And I hope she gets more opportunities. And then also, I'm never going to complain about seeing Carmella on my TV. Girl's gorgeous. It's a homie. Love you, Mella. And I'm never going to complain about seeing Zelina Vega on TV because, she's a good friend as well and supports the page and everything. Yeah, so I am not upset about any of that. I'm glad all 4 women got featured this week. And, yeah. Other than WWE, because we'll talk about AEW, I just want to take a short, brief period to talk about something we've said we wanted to talk about for a couple of weeks, and we haven't. It's Saturday morning today, so we haven't seen episode 3. But how have you been feeling about Heels so far?
Bro, let me tell you about Heels. Heels is amazing. I love the storytelling and how like each episode like evolves around different characters. So it's not like, it's not always about Ace or Jack. It's always about like the side characters too. And like, I think the way it's going is pretty good. It almost makes me feel like I just don't want to watch like real wrestling on TV, or rather just watch Heels now because like it's so much more entertaining. But no, I think they did a great job with the different characteristics and a bunch of wrestling terms like kayfabe and being a character and stuff. So
it's like a really good show. If you grew up watching things like TV dramas, like I don't know, The OC or One Tree Hill or I don't know why those are the first two that came to my mind. There's a lot of other ones too. Beverly Hills 90210. I don't know, all that type of shit. I'm not saying it's like that. Heart of Dixie. Like it's a good, well-produced television show based around professional wrestling. Oh, the perfect comparison. Sorry, this was the perfect comparison I had. If you watched and enjoyed Friday Night Lights, it was a football show. It was a drama based around college football. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like that. It was like good characters, good storytelling, and it's not just a wrestling show. It's a TV show, but Steve is killing it. The actress that plays his wife is really pretty. She's killing it. The actress that plays
she looks like Brie Bella.
Yeah, the actress that plays his brother. Like it's just really good. It's 2 episodes in so far. I hate watching shows week by week. Like I'm not a big fan of that. I wish I could just binge watch all the episodes at once. But this is worth waiting week for week for. Like because the first episode will suck you in. The story they tell, the beef between the brothers, the opportunity the younger brother gets over the older brother. Like they set it up so nicely that when you get to the end, you already kind of see what's coming, but you still get like, oh wow, that actually happened.
Yeah.
It kind of slows things down, and I think the difference between the second episode and the first episode is we saw a lot of the wrestling show in the first episode, like wrestling scenes and like in-ring scenes and them showing their show, when the second episode is more about the people and less about the actual them putting on a show per se. But CM Punk's gonna be in episode 3.
What is he called? Rabies?
Rabies or something is his wrestling character name. It really does focus on like what the real. If you go to your local independent wrestling, like if you support your local independent wrestling, you'll understand the vibes because it is very that. Mm-hmm. And he still thinks that this company can be big time, yada yada yada, in the world of WWE. Like he's still like, you know what I mean. So it's like, watch the show, guys. It's really well produced. Stephen Amell is killing it. That's behind the show. It's a cool way to show what I think is the greatest form of art and athleticism, professional wrestling, but in a way that even non-wrestling fans can enjoy.
Did you come up with that, by the way? I'm sorry.
I've never heard anybody else say it, but that's what I've been saying since 2004.
You need to trademark that. I'm being for real. Put that on a t-shirt, dude.
But I think like it showcases this business and this form of entertainment in a unique way, and it is one of those situations where like I promise you, like if you're a big wrestling fan, you have a significant other that doesn't like watching wrestling with you. I was like, oh, you're watching wrestling. Like, watch this show with them. I bet they'll enjoy it because it's not a wrestling show. It's a show about wrestling, but about life and relationships and family and hopes and dreams and looking at things at a big picture and letting things go. It's just there's a lot happening, and I think Heels is a really good show. You should check it out.
100%.
Now, AEW.
The greatest show on television right now? Yes, sir.
CM Punk is back week 2. He even said it himself. They obviously taped Rampage right after Dynamite this week, but he was like, I know eventually this whole you know, the getting hyped when you hear cult of personality and seeing me is gonna wear off, but like, you know, I'm soaking in the moment every time I can while it's still here, and you can literally see him soak in the moment every single time. He's so happy to be back, and although the second promo is never gonna hit like the first promo and see him come back for the first time, and I think that's what people need to get a grasp of. Is like
100%.
nothing's gonna feel the same way it felt when he first walked out and came out and returned to wrestling. It's never gonna feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Shawn Michaels returning in 2002 to be a part of the NWO, and by like week 3, it's like, okay, Shawn Michaels is here and he's part of the NWO. Like it never stays the exact same for like even Cena. Like he came back in Money in the Bank and was sick, and then as the weeks went on, you're like, okay, now we're back to the same Cena shit. I'm not saying we're gonna get the same Punk shit because it's totally exciting, but I think people just need to be a little bit patient and just let them enjoy it. Let them in. Like the promo on Dynamite this week was still good. There's something, like I said, there's something about Mike Punk on the mic that just hits different. Like it connects. It's the tone of his voice. Like I listen when he's talking.
Yeah.
That being said, he only has so much to talk about right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's wrestling Darby. He continuously keeps putting over Darby, and the match is literally next weekend. So he's doing what he needs to do. And then everyone that's complaining like, well, when is he going to wrestle? Literally next weekend. You just got to wait till All Out. That's all you got.
No, I think that promo really hit home, dude. It still hasn't like sunk in for me like fully that CM Punk's back wrestling. Like it's so weird. But him dropping that hint for Daniel Bryan being like, oh, you guys gotta wait a little longer. Like
yeah, the fans started panning yes, and he was like, that's somebody else's shtick, and maybe you just gotta wait. Maybe you just gotta be a little patient. And then everyone like, you know, and he made like a, you know, he hinted, and supposedly like on his shoes each week, he's been writing letters on his shoes.
AC, BW.
BW for Bray Wyatt the second week, and it's like they're bringing some heavy hitters in. And we've talked about this off the air. Going back to my Eric Bischoff interview, if you guys haven't, go check my casual conversation with Eric Bischoff. It's on my YouTube channel, and if you're following the TWC Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you can scroll down and find it in the archives. But when I talked to Bischoff about AEW signing, you know, established stars from WWE or people that are getting released and this and that, he said, you know, it's good. It's obviously never not going to be good, but like it's always going to make that same mistake that you hired this other talent and they were high up on this ladder. And, you know, we sit here and we're like, you know, Pac's someone that could be in the world title picture eventually. Jake Hager could potentially be, you know, he had world title match and stuff. Eddie Kingston, they're trying to build Sean Spears, they're trying to build MJF to that level. Like you have all these guys. Pentagon could have been a title contender if they really wanted to. He was an MLW. But the more you bring in CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt, this person, Adam Cole, that person, those other people are going to fall lower on the ladder. Miro could have been a title contender when they brought in Miro. But now you're like, well, does Miro fall down the ladder? Because he's not CM Punk. He's not Daniel Bryan. He's not. And you're not going to move Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks or Cody Rhodes. Like, they're going to stay where they're going to stay. So it's crazy to see how long people stay. It's crazy to see how people are used. Like, does this make Hangman less relevant? Or
no.
Come back and win the world title.
Hangman, okay, let me tell you something.
Brother.
So, like, I feel like this is my opinion. I don't want your followers to come at me because they always come at me for no reason. But Hangman Adam Page is the soul of all elite wrestling. You know, since the day he signed, you know, he had this tear in his eye. He had a dream that, you know, he wanted to win the world title and really make it. Because let's be honest, before AEW, the mainstream audience, the majority of the people did not know who Hangman was. And the fact that this Kenny Omega storyline got him over to the point where this man gets the loudest pops every single week tells you that this man is must see. And when he comes back, bro, I will literally be so. I love Hangman. Like, here, listen, I love CM Punk, I love Daniel Bryan, but there's something about Hangman that just like captivates me.
And he has like, he's one of their homegrown talent.
110%.
Like Christian's another guy that came in there. Now he's the one facing Omega, and it's like that could have been Pac, that could have been Andrade, that could have been Miro, that could have been so many people. Andrade's there. Like this, we thought Andrade coming was a big deal, but now with all these other people coming, does that like make Andrade fall down the ladder a little bit of priority?
Yeah,
and that's like the issue here. Yes, they have their homegrown talent. I don't think guys like Hangman, MJF, Jungle Boy, Sammy. I'm trying to think of other younger talent out there. I don't think it's going to hurt them necessarily because they have time on their side.
Yeah.
And they can get established here and go to the WWE as much as they fucking want if they want to, or they can stay here and eventually they'll be on the top of their card. Because I don't think guys like Punk and Bryan are going to be here forever, but at least for the next like 2 to 3 years, like you're going to be taking it a little easy. And hopefully guys like Punk, Punk has said it, like he's like, I want to work with the Brian Pillman Jr.'s, I want to work with the Darby Allins, I want to work with the Jungle Boys. So I think that's what he's here for. I don't think Punk's intention is to become the AEW World Champion.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people need to get a grip on that.
Yeah, I don't think he's here to be like, when Christian first came up, they put him in a position where he looked like he wanted to challenge Kenny. Punk's coming in here like, no, I don't even care about like
the world
championship belts and shit. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to wrestle the young guys. I would have been a fan of Darby Allin when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I love that shit. I'm glad he's back. It's gonna be weird as fuck when Bryan gets it too. It's just weird. And it's crazy how it's taken 1 year. I think everyone, and then the end plus the pandemic, which kind of slowed things down too, but I think all these people sat at home and they watched to see if AEW would still be around in a year, and they watched to see what people that were working there said about it, and like Punk's himself in the press conference, the scrimmage he did after last week's Rampage, where he was like, no, the more that some of my old friends started working here, like Christian, like Mark Henry, like people that he knew that started working there, and I would talk to them about it. He's like, they kind of led me to think like, no, it would be like a good decision. Like it is a different vibe here. It's not the WWE. And I've always said this to people throughout the years. I'm like, everyone's like, oh, Punk's always shitting on wrestling. Punk said, fuck wrestling. No. He hates those fans. Punk never had a problem with professional wrestling. He had a problem with the WWE. And if you go back and you watch the CM Punk documentary, Best in the World, that they put out back then, you can tell what his problems are because he's still talking about them on there. Like he hated the scripts. He hated them not believing that he could be a heel. He hated the way things were there, even in that documentary. And he was trying to fight through it, and it still didn't. It wasn't a place for him. So when an idiot like Booker T's like, oh well, he came out there in his debut promo for AEW, and he just spent his time shitting on WWE and didn't really talk about what it meant to be. He did talk about what it meant to be in AEW. He did put over Darby Allin. He was putting over professional wrestling. I left in 2005, and now I'm back in 2021 because he's saying the only thing he said subtly was that whole period I was in the WWE. That wasn't it.
Yeah, he doesn't acknowledge that.
That wasn't it. That wasn't wrestling. That was some shit I did. And why would I go back to this place that almost killed me? That's all he said about the WWE. So for Booker T to be like, well, he just came out there, and instead of making this a moment about him and AEW, he made this a moment about let me shit on WWE.
Well, I mean, like
ice cream bars. Like Booker, sir, put on your glasses, read a book, learn something.
No, but this is totally off topic. He talks about like the place almost killing himself or killing him. Like that. Dean Ambrose had this like giant staph infection like on his elbow or whatever, and like it almost got into his bloodstream and it was gonna kill him. Like he said this in his like documentary too, I'm pretty sure, right before he left the company. And he's like, I was trying to get it treated, but it's like, you gotta work through the nagging injuries. You gotta make sure you don't lose your spot on the card. So when you come back, you get the loudest reaction, and he did. And then look what happened to him after, right?
They still didn't use him publicly. And let me tell you something about Moxley. He cut a promo last week. I don't know if it was on Rampage or if it was on Dynamite, where he was like, I came here now. Everybody else thinks they can just come here and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, you know what? This would be a good way to turn Moxley heel. If Bryan shows up and one of the first people he feuds is a heel Moxley, I'm fucking with it.
Bro, that would be fire.
Because he has an argument. I came here when nobody knew what AEW was going to be. I came in and supported this company when it was the Being Elite Internet guys and Chris Jericho. Like, that's all they had. I held this company through a pandemic. I was a champion through its hardest time. And now CM Punk just waltzed in here. Now Daniel Bryan just waltzed in here. Now Bray wants to come here. You guys want day oneers. Like, there's a story there.
That's facts.
Know?
But I feel like
I left the ship over there. Like, he obviously the WWE ship's not sinking, and if he did say this would get like a lot of backlash on the internet. But I jumped off the ship before it started sinking. I jumped off that ship before they started letting go of all their talent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he can say that shit. You guys are jumping on now because I helped build this place. Like, there's
now it's secure for you to come through.
Yeah, now I made this place along with these guys a place to be, and now you think you can just come in here and outshine us?
I'm hyped, dude. I'm excited to see what AEW has to offer in the world of professional wrestling, and I know Tony Khan, sometimes could disappoint, but sometimes You know, in the bigger picture, he does deliver, man. You can't go wrong.
Whether it's been bad, whether I complain about how things are like, you know, scheduled throughout the show and the formatting, or whether I complain about like, you know, some of the matches drain me, or like sometimes I watch Dynamite twice. I will say every single week, without a doubt, I've looked forward to Dynamite. Whether I look at the card, like this week we looked at the card and I was like, oh, was it Rampage? And we're like, oh, like
I think it was Rampage.
Factory, QT Marshall and his guys and the against the Gun Club. Like, who gives a shit about that? Like, we have those moments sometimes, but then it's like, I still look forward to tune in because it's just different. You know they'll take risks. You know they'll try things even if it fails. You know, even if most of the show you don't, it's the exact same feeling I have with SmackDown. There's gonna be shit on SmackDown that I'm not gonna enjoy. Like, I don't care what Otis is doing. Like, I am a Shinsuke fan, but I'm not like so hyped about what Shinsuke is doing, Apollo and stuff. Happy Corbin, that shit's hilarious.
That shit's so funny.
Money again, but like, I know I'm gonna tune in because there's stuff I do like on there for sure. I like the women's division on SmackDown. A lot of people that I'm fans of are there. Sasha, Becky, Carmella, Zelina, Liv, like a lot of people that I actually want to support and follow on SmackDown, so I enjoy that show. Tegan, Shotzi, Natalia, yada yada. And then I love everything the Bloodline's doing, and I love Beth, and I like Edge out of the title picture. I don't love Edge in the title picture, but I like Edge out of the title picture. And that's how I feel about AEW, because I'm like, even though I might not care too much about what QT Marshall's doing or what this match is, I'm like, I want to see what Punk does. I want to see what outfits the Bucks are wearing this week. I want to see Sting and Darby. I want to hear Wild Thing. Like, no matter what, like, there's something that drags me. I want to, if MJF's coming out, I want to hear this motherfucker talk. I want to see this guy fucking wrestle. There's a lot of people in that company I want to support there too. And finally, the last point I want to make about AEW is because they have this secondary show on national television with Rampage, they're doing a better job of giving us more women's content on the national television shows. Because I feel like there's a very long period of time where a lot of the women's stuff was happening on Dark and Elevation. And like, no one's really watching that every week. Let's be real. I watch it every now and then, so I'm not going to sit and be like, oh, nobody ever watched it. Like, sometimes I will randomly be like working on an article or something like I'm on Dark, I'm on Elevation. But I feel like now we get like at least one women's match on Dynamite if we're, you know, lucky. And then we'll get like we're definitely getting one women's match on Rampage every week. That's what 2 weeks of Rampage have given us, like one women's match. And even if the matches aren't great, it's establishing that division and the characters in that division, the women in that division. Like, we have the Bunny with Penelope now. And then on the flip side, we have Chris Statlander helping out Red Velvet as they fight Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter and Rebel. And like, Jade Cargill is doing her thing. She was on Rampage last week. So it's just like they're doing and building people for that division. And I'm happy because the women's division is one of the divisions in AEW that I felt like always needed the most help, and I feel like they're finally getting the spotlight on them that they deserve. And also, lastly, did you see Cash Wheeler's wound and everything?
Sorry, that was really nasty. I really hope he heals up, because like, I don't know if that's like a career-ending injury. Like, I'm not too.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a shoot, if they're doing it for the storyline, because I do believe that obviously he really got hurt, and I do believe that he obviously went. It was like way worse than they expected or thought. Like, I do believe that he probably had like nerve issues and couldn't feel in his hand for a bit. Like, those are all things I genuinely believe in and I do think is real. I'm not saying that anyone would lie about that necessarily, but I'm like, I don't want to believe, as a fan of FTR, as a fan of the Revival, I don't want to believe that this is a career-threatening injury where they might not be able to tag together moving forward again.
That's very sad.
And that's the only reason I'm not saying I don't believe in everything that's happened, but I personally would love to believe that all that stuff was true and he's healing, but now they're going to use it in the storyline as in like, this could be our last time wrestling. We're going to have one more match. And I want to believe like this is like to get us hyped about FTR again. Because the hype did kind of die down with the Bucks won the tag titles and just like never defended them against them again. Like, you know, like, and realistically, like, oddly enough, like, I know the Inner Circle is still a thing and the Pinnacle is still a thing, but they don't come off much as like groups anymore.
No, yeah, as a faction, yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, I know the Inner Circle still has like their Inner Circle, and the Pinnacle are still together necessarily. Like, if MJF needed backup, like, well, we'd probably see FTR and Wardlow and JK. I mean, well, not JK, like Sean Spears and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but like, they're not like coming to the ring and cutting promos together as groups and stuff as they once were. So
Anymore,
it seems like everyone's doing their own thing. Like Santana and Ortiz haven't been like hanging out with Chris Jericho on a weekly basis now. So like, I don't want to see FTR be done. And I hope this is just like taking a bad situation and getting creative with it now that he's doing better, rather than it still actually being a bad situation and them actually genuinely being like, this could be it.
Hope not, dude. You know, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I'll say it right now. Their match against DIY in Toronto in 2016 blew the roof off of this place. I couldn't get to go, but I watched it at home and like, you know, it made me really understand tag team wrestling and, you know, that's what it's all about. But wishing him a speedy recovery, you know, and hope they come back stronger than ever and run that division for sure.
Guys, that is it for this week. I know it's a little bit of a low energy episode compared to like last week and whatnot.
No, we were fucked last time.
We hope to get Tim Han Rivera back on the show. Go check out Subway Mania, guys, if you haven't on YouTube. That's his shit. Obviously, Devin's welcome on the show whenever he has the time. I'll have him back on as well. It's been a long week. I'm tired. Got a lot of things going on, hence why we're a little low energy. I know Daniel's had a long week too. We did not sleep last night. We were trying to edit and make sure that DDP episode was okay.
Trash, bro.
We did have technical difficulties with the DDP episode, so we tried. I'm literally like fixing it right now, like re-uploading with even more edits to it right now as we speak. So like, trust me, it will be out soon though. Appreciate you guys all for tuning in, guys. If you haven't already, read my articles at 1:37 p.m. Subscribe to the TWC Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Wrestling Classic. If you're a Gary V fan, if you go to any podcast app and you subscribe to the Gary V Experience, he re-uploaded my interview with him on his channel, which was really fucking cool. So check that out. And yeah, man, just keep doing the thing, everybody, and we'll see you all next week, man. Anything else you want to add?
I'm gonna tell him like, yo, why is that DVD in the bookstore, man? Yo, Devin, I was at a bookstore, bro. I was at a bookstore and they had mad wrestling DVDs. I'm like, oh shit, this shit is cool, bro. I saw some TNA shit, bro. It's that Jeff Jarrett, bro. They're like his whole face is just.
And last but not least, would you eat pancakes with Jeff Jarrett? We'll see you on next week. And keep doing the thing. Ooh, yeah, dig it.